Might get back a motherfucker. Oh, they'll get back a motherfucker. Woo! I can barely talk, man. I lost my voice during that game, but what a win for the Chicago Bears. Genuinely one of the best wins in recent memory for this team. My fans are going to speak a little bit here before I kind of get into breaking down the game and kind of playing it 50-50 and talking from my analytical side here, but my fan is going to get in the way here. Fuck the Commanders. That felt great. We took a lot of shit last year after the Hail Mary. That it was just a complete 180 for both the Commanders and the Bears last year after that Hail Mary. A promising season on the grasp of 5-2 turned into a complete spiral and finishing 5-12. And the Commanders, pretty much the opposite. Finishing 12-5, going to the NFC Championship game. We took a lot of heat for that. It was one of those situations where it was, Jaden Daniels is in the NFC Championship game. Caleb Williams is 5-12. And, that weighs on you. Their fans were definitely shit talking like crazy. And I know Bears fans, they're definitely doing the same. But it was a mental health win right there for the Chicago Bears. A win that, could be a turning point in our season. A win that we look back on towards the end of the year. I'm not saying that this is going to be a team that's, going to go on a run and go to the NFC Championship game. I don't think, I still think the playoffs are up for question. But after a win like this against this Commanders team, you could definitely start looking at the potential for the Chicago Bears to be in a wild card hunt this year. Genuinely, like you have to. The Commanders are a good fucking football team. Like, we not just remember them spanking the Chargers? Was that just last weekend? Like, do you guys remember that? Because I remember them beating the hell out of the Chargers last weekend. And the Chicago Bears went into their house and got their lick back. Like, you got to consider the postseason. I still think this is a 9-win team. I do think that there's very winnable games down the line. I think there's still going to be a roller coaster up and down effect with this team. And maybe 10 wins or 11 wins could be our ceiling now. I feel a whole lot better after this game about that, but I still think that this is just a work in progress. My biggest takeaways from tonight's game: one, the NFL has a massive officiating problem, especially this crew in general. Like, going into this game, I was reading up on the game, that this officiating crew had the most penalties in the NFL by a mile. And that's including ones that were picked up. I think it was 95 penalties through 5 weeks of the season, 22 penalties on top of that being dismissed. That is insane. That comes out to 23 penalties a game through 5 weeks. That is fucking nuts. And it felt like there was a yellow flag on the field at all times. And they were some of the most ticky-tacky calls I've ever seen. Very rarely do I ever try to find myself complaining about officiating. I think it's wrong. I think it's stupid. I think that a lot of the times refs are doing a good job, but this is bad. This was bad. There was a lot of very piss poor officiating tonight, especially against the Chicago Bears. The offensive pass interference against Colson Loveland was terrible. I thought the Nashawn Wright face mask was garbage. The Commanders had 4 penalties on third down offensively, picked them up a first down against the Chicago Bears. Illegal contact, terrible call. They missed a clear, blatant offensive pass interference on the Commanders when it was 4th down. They missed another one against us on 4th, or I think it was on 3rd down to DeAndre Swift. Maybe the touchdown call is what I think it was. And there were some ticky-tacky calls called against the Commanders as well. I thought it was very one-sided a little bit. That might just be me being a Bears fan, but you see it on the national media. They're talking about it, how it felt one-sided. That is a serious problem, and the NFL needs to do something about that officiating crew, because that's just terrible. That's terrible. My takeaway number 2 from today's game is Ben Johnson got the run game going, man. Over the bye week, he really figured it out. They were running a lot of outside zone, a lot of outside carries. They were moving Darnell Wright. They were moving Theo Benedette, and DeAndre Swift had one of his best games, if not his best game as a Bear for the Chicago for us tonight. I mean, genuinely, I didn't have much to bitch about. Monangai ran the ball really hard. He got work in the passing game. Roshan Johnson was getting carries. That was amazing. That's been our biggest struggle all year long, and our offense looked much better, much more fluid. There were still some shaky points in the passing game tonight, still some shaky points in the rushing game tonight. But overall, in general, they seem to be moving the ball much better down the field, more consistently in this game. Little flashback to how they look kind of against Dallas, comparative to the game against the Raiders, where that the entire first half it looked like they struggled to do just about anything. Takeaway number 3. Dennis Allen's defense is growing week after week after week. I think they probably looked a little bit better against Dallas than they did against the Raiders, but overall, they are starting to kind of figure it out. They're playing more of a true bend, don't break system, and it's not a great system. They still have 1 to 2 horrible drives a game by far. I thought the pressure looked a little bit better tonight, but they are finding ways to take away the ball. They were stepping up on third down at times. There was a few occasions tonight where it was pissing me off, but overall, they're finding ways to take away the ball, which is the biggest thing. 3 turnovers in 3 straight games. That is phenomenal from this team. Dennis Allen's figuring it out. They were much better against the rush tonight. Corey Krosky-Merritt only averaged 3.6 yards per carry, which is still, a decent chunk, but comparative to the 6.2 that you were averaging on the season in general, much better against the run tonight. That was a massive improvement. Like I said, I thought the pressure was better tonight. There was a few times where they were able to get their hands on Jaden Daniels, but he's so elusive and so quick. It's a tough task in general, but it's still not good enough. The pressure is still poor. They are going to have to address that in the 2026 NFL draft. They have to go pass rusher in the first round next year. No doubt about it. Takeaway number 4, and this is the biggest takeaway. This is not, kind of my fan leaving my body. As much as I fucking hate Jaden Daniels, and as much as I hate the Commanders, Jaden Daniels is good at football. There's no doubting that. So any Bears fan who tries to tell you different, they're stupid. On the other note, Caleb Williams is good at football. And any Commanders fan who tries to tell you different, they're stupid. Drake May is good at football. Any other fan, I don't know who the hell's out there saying Drake May is bad. This has been more of a Caleb versus Jaden than Commanders versus Bears fan base kind of thing. But Drake May is good at football. This class is looking really promising. The top 3 picks from this class are looking really promising. I think it's okay for all of us to sit there and admit it. Hey, Jaden Daniels is good. Hey, Drake May is good. Hey, Caleb Williams is good. These 3 are going to be good for a long time. Caleb and Jaden are going to have a lot of battles over the course of their career. Like they're both, their numbers on season this year, both on pace to have, very statistically good seasons. The Commanders are 3-3. The Bears are 3-2. I understand the comparisons. It's pick 1 versus pick 2 versus pick 3. It's always going to be that way. That's what drives the NFL narratives. I get it. I've been there myself doing the same thing. But I think we can at least all just admit that they're very good at football. I think all 3 of those quarterbacks are going to find extensions with their teams. I think they are all franchise quarterbacks. There's no doubt about that in my head, really, whatsoever. Those are my major takeaways from tonight's game. Now, let's look ahead here. I'm going to go ahead and get the schedule pulled back up for us. I'm going to start looking down the line here for our Chicago Bears. And next week, a big matchup. Not necessarily a big opponent, but a big matchup just in terms of this team is rolling. You're 3 straight wins. You finally get to go back home at Soldier Field and you bring in a 1-5 football team. You have to win that game. And the Saints are no slouches. They aren't. You can first off, you're a fucking idiot if you are taking any opponent lightly in the NFL in any way, shape, or form ever. NFL teams are NFL teams. This team has taken the Buffalo Bills to the wire. This team took the New England Patriots to the wire. This team has taken the Arizona Cardinals to the wire. And I'm sorry, but the Chicago Bears have not done enough this season for me to believe that they can just go in there and stomp the Saints. It's a must-win game. A can't-lose game, as my great friend Larry Larson likes to say. A can't-lose game. It is not a must-win. It is a can't-lose game. You cannot come back home after a win like this and lose to the New Orleans Saints. You have to get to 4-2. And looking down the line, this team can win some games. This is why I'm saying it is time to start at least considering that this team could be in the hunt for the wild card after a win like tonight. I said to myself, if they win tonight, I'm going to start considering this team as a wild card football team, or at least in the hunt for a wild card spot. And if they lost tonight, I thought they were going to be a year away. If it was a close loss, I maybe could have flipped the narrative because the Commanders are a good fucking team. Commanders are a good team, but you got the Saints, You go to Baltimore, you go to Cincinnati, you come home against the Giants, and you go to Minnesota, and just 6 straight noon games right here. And you would like to say, hey, we go 4-2 here? The Saints are 1-5. The Ravens are 1-5. I'm pretty sure the Bengals are 2-4. Giants are 2-4. The Vikings, you're gonna want to get your lick back for that Monday Night Football game where you blew the lead against JJ McCarthy and them. Aaron, you would like in these 6 games right here, leading up into that Black Friday game against the Philadelphia Eagles, you can go 4-2 here, find yourself at 7-4 when you kind of enter into this gauntlet of Eagles, Packers, Browns, Eagles, Packers again just 2 weeks later, 49ers and Lions. Find yourself in a situation where you can be 7-4 after these next 6 games. And I'm going to start really considering this team to be a wild card team heading into the end of the season. Genuinely, overall, just a great win. Just a great win for my Chicago Bears today. Like I said, one of the better wins in recent memory. Don't let anybody try and take this or downplay this win for you in any way, shape, or form. This is a massive win. This is a massive culture win. This is a Ben Johnson win, a Caleb Williams win, going in there, getting himself a game-winning drive, which he should have had last year before the Hail Mary. The Hail Mary is irrelevant. The Hail Mary is irrelevant. It is behind us. It is, I could care less about that game now. That game is in the past. They went in to Washington, D.C., and beat the Washington Commanders. That is the ultimate get back. That is the ultimate get your lick back. That is beautiful. You go into their house and you beat them. Got your lick back for the Hail Mary. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another video. I'm going to have my power rankings out later tonight. Massive win for my Chicago Bears. Bear down, baby.